Do you or one of your loved ones suffer from not enough damage? In Borderlands, when you shoot something, does it not die? Do you need more damage? Does your damage look like this sometimes? If so, and if one of you or your loved ones suffer from not enough damage, this video is for you. We are going to be showing you guys how to get your damage from that to this. It's just a few simple steps. Welcome guys, my name is Moxie. Today we're talking about Overkill Damage, and we got a lot of things to cover, so let's get into the motherfucking video.
But that's alright.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Today's video is all about the Overkill perk in the Guardian tree and how to make it work for you. This is one of, if not the most powerful perk that you can have on any character, and it's also one of the most misunderstood. It has a damage cap and so many other things that people don't know about it. So today we're going to be breaking everything down real quick. If you haven't subscribed yet, we are 1,000 subscribers away from 50k subscribers, which is a huge achievement. If you want to help me reach that goal and you're enjoying the content, make sure to like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. And with that, let's get into the video. So before we get into all of the things that we need to talk about with Overkill Damage, we need to define some basic terminology that we're going to be using today to make it simpler for everyone to understand. And those basic terminologies are excess kill. Excess kill is the first kill, which will leave behind excess damage. Excess damage is the excess damage left from the excess kill that will be added to the next shot. Overkill shot is the next shot that will get increased damage from excess damage, and overkill damage is the overall damage of the overkill shot. So, to give an example, if we killed an enemy with our gun, and he had 160 health and we did 200 damage to him, that enemy would be our first excess kill. The excess damage would be our 40 damage. Now our overkill shot on the next enemy will be our first shot towards that next enemy, and then that'll have our excess damage on it, and the overkill damage is the overall damage of the overkill shot, which is our original damage plus our overkill damage, or plus our excess damage. It's already getting a little complicated, but we're going to make sure to break things down as simply as we can for you guys. So what counts as an excess kill? An excess kill is what's going to be giving you your first excess damage, and you can get an excess kill with a gunshot, a grenade, a melee attack, an action skill attack. Whatever you want to use will generate excess damage. But what counts as an overkill shot is only a gunshot. So, for example, because I want you guys to understand what I'm saying, is if you melee an enemy for 1,000,000 damage, your next melee will not carry over overkill damage. You will not do the excess damage from your last melee and add it onto your next melee. The only way to use your excess damage on your overkill is with a gun. AKA, kill an enemy with a grenade. You can get bonus damage on your next shot, but you cannot get next bonus damage on your next grenade. Now, the excess damage calculation is damage dealt minus the hit points left. Pretty simple there, but there's some caveats to that. The biggest caveat to this is with multiple projectile weapons, such as shotguns. When you're killing an enemy with a multiple projectile weapon, no more projectiles will hit the enemy than needed to kill them. So, for example, if you have an enemy with 160 health standing right in front of you and a shotgun with 5 projectiles, each doing 100 damage, only 2 projectiles will hit that enemy, meaning you're going to do, one projectile is going to do 100, the next projectile is going to do 100, enemies only got 160 health, you're going to get 40 overkill damage, as opposed to if it was one projectile with 500 damage, you would get 340 overkill. So multiple projectile weapons aren't great at stacking up overkill damage, such as stagecoaches, because all of that damage is divided between the projectiles. Now, you may be wondering, what happens if I have excess damage? Let's say I shoot an enemy with a rocket launcher and then switch to my shotgun with 25 pellets. Is every one of my projectiles from my shotgun going to get my excess damage? No. So that does not work. Your excess damage that is going to be added on from your excess kill will not be benefiting on each projectile. It's going to be divided evenly between each of your projectiles. That is why single projectile weapons and hidden unlisted projectile weapons are the best when taking the most advantage of overkill damage. So the most interesting thing that I found about overkill is that it can't be exploited infinitely, that there is a maximum damage cap based on the weapon's gun damage. So that is based on the gun used for the overkill shot, not the gun used for the excess kill. So, for example, you can't use a level 50 gun with 50k excess damage and then swap to a level 20 gun and then use the damage from the level 50 gun on the level 20 gun. How that works is it's times 5 of your normal damage equals your overkill max damage. So higher base damage weapons like the Wedding Invitation, like rocket launchers, such as the ion cannon, are really great because their base damage is so high that you can times 5 that base damage versus times 5ing the base damage of a pistol, for example. So the harder hitting your weapon is, the more overkill damage it can do, because it's times 5 of the damage that the weapon would typically do. Now, this overkill damage, or your excess damage from killing an enemy, travels with you. If you fast travel, if you move around, if you switch weapons, that overkill damage stays with you, and that is the way that you can do stupid damage. So if I wanted to one-shot Graveward, for example, with this Wedding Invitation, and how I did so much damage at the beginning of the game is I traveled to Athenas, I sniped an enemy in the head to generate excess damage. I took that excess damage and shot another enemy to do an overkill shot with overkill damage, giving me a ton of excess damage from that kill because I was already using overkill there. And then I traveled back to Graveward and shot Graveward with a 300 phase slam Wedding Invitation with times 5 my weapon damage to do a ridiculously absurd amount of damage. That's a really cool trick, and you can use it in anything. If you want to pre-stack excess damage or overkill damage, I'm messing up the terms a little bit here, I'm trying my best, but you could pre-stack basically before you go into a takedown and build up a bunch of overkill before, and then your first shot in the takedown will already be one-shotting things and you can smash through it. Now, this is not a strategy I've been using, but I recently learned about it and it's super cool and super fun. Now, there is a way to break or exploit the overkill damage in this game, which is super awesome. It is how I hit for 1 billion damage in this game. Obviously, I was helped out by Malawan Trooper backpacks for this damage, but I still was able to hit for 1 billion damage, and that is because of Remnant. Now, Remnant is a skill in Amar's Blue Tree that, dealing overkill damage to an enemy, creates an orb, and that orb has no damage cap. So when I shoot an enemy with a wedding invitation in the head, I'm going to get the excess damage on my weapon that's capped. That is a capped bonus on my weapon, but the orb takes no cap. It is unlimited to the amount of damage that can be added on to that from an overkill, which is why Death Star Amar works so well, because you're using an ion cannon and those orbs to give your ion cannon ×5 damage, and then any overkill you're hitting with an ion cannon is then creating Remnant orbs. Now what's so crazy about Remnant orbs is, one, that they suffer no damage cap, so they could do millions and millions and millions of damage very easily, but Remnant orbs, when they hit an enemy and do a ton of overkill damage, actually give your next shot of your gun the damage. It's still capped, but if you want to upkeep and maintain 100% full overkill ×5 damage on your weapons, Remnant is a really good tool for that, because it'll basically always hit enemies for millions of damage if you're using the right setup, so that you never actually run out or waste your overkill, which makes it a crazy, crazy skill. Adding more points into Remnant is pointless, because it just increases the base damage, not the amount of overkill that it generates from. So only 1 point into Remnant is needed. So this is about to get even crazier. So on top of Remnant being crazy with unlimited overkill damage, damage multiplying anointments like 100 damage after action skill end or 300% damage after phase slam are taken into account after your overkill and your excess damage. So what that means is, if you have a overkill cap on such thing as like an ion cannon, so you have your ion cannon with your excess damage added on for ×5 damage, and then you use a phase slam to give you 300% increased damage, you're going to be then getting ×5 your weapon damage, and then the 300% is going to be taken into account after, giving you ×5 and then 300% addition of that ×5 to start hitting for crazy numbers. As you can see where this is going, your overkill is going to be capped from that, but your Remnant orbs aren't. This is why Remnant orbs can hit for in hundreds of millions of damage, which is very, very cool that Amara can do it. We love Amara here. That's going to be it for the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. There's still a lot to talk about on this subject, but in the interest of time, we're going to cut it there. So if you like this video and want to learn more about this, make sure to leave your feedback. Shout out once again to Dr. Strangelove for providing this write-up for us. Once again, that'll be in the description. And if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're so close to 50K, guys. Have a good one. Peace!